are living in a golden age of wisdom, but I sort of see that as a bad thing. To me, it seems that every podcast has a framework, every Instagram caption has a moral. Everybody's going through something, whether it's a messy breakup, a bad quarter, a retreat trip they took to the middle of nowhere, and believe me, they will tell it to you. And I know this because I am that person. I've given TED Talks in the past about skiing, about AI, about what I've learned. I've given presentations at school. I'm obviously right now giving a TED Talk. My point is that we're all in the advice business to an extent. But I want to tell you all about a different kind of advice, something that isn't esoteric or out there, something that isn't overly academic, but something that's really real, something that's personalized, that it seems to be that everybody can grasp. That being said, the story starts with Japan, specifically that my mom and I took a skiing trip to Japan. The most pertinent detail about the story is that we're both good skiers, but there's a bit of a split in our skiing level. So what usually happens is I'll go skiing with her, but then I'll also go skiing with an instructor, both to learn a little bit, but just to rip it down some harder slopes. And while this trip was unlike anything I've ever been at, it was very formulaic in this specific way. I was expecting to go down some hard slopes and to get some advice, and that's exactly what happened. They taught me about how to turn better, here's how you make it down this hill, stop going so fast, the usual. And it was going flawlessly until the second to last day. I'd just gotten lunch, just had a burger, really good burger, thanks for asking. And we go on the chairlift, that chairlift in particular. And he looks at me, this 20-year-old something, and he says to me something that sort of struck a nerve. He said, "You're skiing like you're trying to beat something." And he continued, sort of like it was a compliment, like nice jacket. That's not to say I was, it wasn't something I took offense to, but again, it struck a nerve. And the reason it did was because he was telling the truth. Now, something that I feel that some of us here are guilty of is, let's say, we go plan out a trip, and what we do is we focus on getting the experience rather than having it, really sitting in the experience and enjoying it for what it's worth. To give some examples, perhaps you go out to dinner, you see this amazing plate that's aesthetically pleasing and tastes really good. And the first thing that some people do is they take a picture of it, post it online, getting the experience rather than having it. Something I was guilty of at this trip was I was trying to go down the hardest terrain that would only be at Japan, and simply trying to get my money's worth, getting the experience rather than having it. And I bring this up because he got something that I hadn't really seen before, something he sporadically said. And that's something I think's really interesting and worth talking about. I call it the see something, say something advice. Type of advice where, simply in the name, you see something, could be something small, and you just say it, whatever's on your mind. You simply throw it out there as an observer. I'm not saying every time you do this, it's going to be something mind-blowing or earth-shattering, but sometimes it is. And the reason I find it so interesting is because I've read books that haven't encapsulated the previous thought in a single sentence. I've listened to podcasts that have bounced around the idea for 45 minutes. But this random guy at this random place, on this random ski resort, at this random chairlift, said this random thing that I've never seen before. Something that really got me thinking about the way that I approach, sure, skiing, but relationships and many other different aspects of my life. That's not something you get with packaged wisdom. And like I was saying with the beginning of my talk, there is a lot of packaged wisdom in this world. Frameworks, hot takes, 5-step guides, TED Talks. All of it is optimized, given a pretty little title, wrapped up in a neat little bow, and shipped off for people to consume. And that's not to say it's a bad thing. All I'm saying is that you lose something personal with an idea once you shave off all the edges, once you sand off all the edges. It becomes too clean, too predictable. People start thinking about their own rebuttal rather than letting themselves marinate in the idea. No, the best advice, in my eyes, hits you sideways. It goes right through you and strikes a chord, rather than hitting you front on. The people close to you are sitting on ideas that no book, no podcast, no framework, no guide has. These are true things. Things that they haven't told you because they figured the person already knows, or I don't want to be a bother. Ask them to say it anyways. And if you're that person, tell them casually on a chairlift, on a car ride home, in between rounds. Again, tell them as an observer. If you came to this event with someone, I want you to think about that person. And if you're flying solo with us tonight, then think about someone close to you. Think about things that they've said or things that they've done that have really struck a chord within you, whether it was something kind or positive or something not. Again, not everything is going to be game-changing, but there will be certain times where you'll just realize something that you haven't realized before about that person or about yourself. To give a personal example beyond skiing, I don't know how many golfers we have in the crowd tonight, but the previous statement about skiing really got me thinking about golf. Specifically that I think that the most important thing about golf is accuracy. Can I place this tiny little golf ball right where I want to? But the thing we often focus on as golfers is getting the big 300-yard drive, the big kahuna, the big just showy drive. And we often mess up the 3-yard putts because we're focused on getting the experience rather than having it. Again, golfing like we're trying to beat something. The takeaway is this. Everybody's got a lesson. Ask people to share it, and you yourself should share it because it's an idea worth sharing. Thank you.